On the day before Palm Sunday, Tarleton State University in Texas was going to host a performance of Corpus Christi, the Terrence McNally play that was the subject of a major street demonstration launched by the Catholic League in 1998 when it opened in New York City. But let me tell you the rest of the story on this. The play Corpus Christi, of course, many of you may not realize this, but it is a pro-homosexual play. Some of the aspects of this particular play are so offensive that I'm having difficulty even reading what it's all about. Jesus is depicted as the king of the queers who says to the apostles, F your mother, F your father, F God. The apostle Philip asked Jesus, who's called Joshua in the play, to perform sex on him. At the end of the play, Jesus condemns a priest for condemning homosexuality. There's much more that goes on. Simulated urination. There are other things, again, that are so base that I just don't want to depict them. You can go online if you want any more information. Even the homosexual-friendly New York Times slammed it as an artistic bomb. Now, the reason that this is so offensive, of course, and not only the blasphemous side of all of this, is but that our tax dollars were going to be used at a state university to put this play on. And just recently, the Supreme Court of the United States refused to hear a suit brought to it because a student at a public school was simply going to play an instrumental version of Ave Maria. And so while a public school can keep a young person from playing an instrumental version of Ave Maria, because the religious overtones of this particular piece has religious connotations to it, even though the words were never used, the Supreme Court, the majority on the Supreme Court said they would not hear this particular case. So therefore it was decided at a lower court level. But a play depicting a homosexual Jesus and homosexual apostles paid for by tax dollars at a state university, a government school, that's okay. But that again is not the end of the story, and it's something that we should in fact be thankful for. I have a number of good friends in Texas. One particular person who keeps me abreast of what's going on there. He's very involved politically, has been a major supporter of American Vision for years. It was my God and Government series back in the 1980s that got him involved in politics. And they were able to stop this particular play from going forth. There are a couple of issues involved in all this. When we as Christians find out about this type of thing, you know, for many years we were silent about it, or we ended up, using rhetoric, but we didn't do anything in order to stop this type of thing from going forward. And not only didn't we stop anything, we really didn't have the means by which to stop it. There were no political officials. There were who would share a similar type worldview. There weren't political officials who were willing to take a risk on all of this. Christians had always been saying, well, we can't mix religion and politics. We believe the religious left on all this. Of course, the religious left says this all the time. Jesus didn't get mixed up in politics, although it's okay to blaspheme Jesus in a political way at a state university. You can't impose your morality on other people, although it's okay for them to impose their morality upon us. There's a separation of church and state. You can't. You got to keep religion and politics separate, but it's okay for them to go to a state university and to use a state university to push their particular religious agenda. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Christians had put on a play using the Bible to condemn homosexuality, as it does in many cases? The ACLU would have been at the doorstep of the president's office in an overnight delivery plane saying that this is unconstitutional. And Christians have sat back. and they have let this happen. They say, oh, our citizenship is in heaven. We're not involved in anything down here. We can't judge other people. Well, Christians in Texas, and it didn't take that many of them to get to work in order to have an impact in getting our tax dollars out of this state university. Now, this doesn't mean, of course, that this state university might not do something like this in the future, but they have been put on notice in all this. In fact, here is what the office of the Lieutenant Governor had to say about this. David Dewhurst, this was put out March 26, 2010. It's a statement by Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst condemning the performance of the play Corpus Christi at Tarleton State University. And I'll read this to you. It comes from Austin. Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst today issued the following statement condemning the scheduled performance of the controversial play Corpus Christi at Tarleton State University in Stephenville, Texas on Palm Sunday. Every citizen is entitled to the freedom of speech, but no one should have the right to use government funds or institutions to portray acts that are morally reprehensible to the vast majority of Americans. Texans don't deserve to see their hard-earned tax money used to debase their religion. This lewd display runs completely contrary to the standards of scholastic excellence and common decency that we demand in our public funded institutions for higher learning. This is a good first step, of course. I'm glad to see that there are a number of politicians who are willing here to take a stand on all of this. Of course, the university, not at all taking into account what they were about to do. This was the statement from the school. The performance of a play that portrays Jesus as a gay has been canceled at Tarleton State University amid what school officials say are safety and security concerns. See, they're not willing to admit that this is a blasphemous play that denigrates the Christian religion. Critics say the Terrence McNally play Corpus Christi, which premiered in 1998, is blasphemous, but the Tarleton student who was directing the production said he chose to help gay youths who may be struggling with their faith. Security concerns were cited in prompting the university to initially change the start time and restrict attendance for Saturday's production. Then on Friday night, the school put a statement on its website saying the professor decided to cancel it due to safety and security concerns. The school said the production will not be rescheduled. We can be thankful for that. So it goes to show that if Christians stand up, and notice there was no fear of any sort of physical reprisals against all of this. They took the proper way, but this proper way was made possible because there were people in office. In this case, Lieutenant Governor, and I believe that the governor was a part of this as well, who stood up and said, "We're not going to take this anymore. We're tired of being pushed around. Political correctness is a two-way street here, and on this particular issue, I'm glad to say that Christians have made their impact. Now, this is only a starting point, and hopefully over time, Christians will begin to realize that they can affect change in their culture if they want to. There are tens of millions of Christians in our society in America today. They could bring about a change in Washington, D.C. and at the state level if they decide to do so. This is evidence that it can happen here in America.
For more related to today's topic, check out Basic Training for Defending the Faith, a 5-part video lecture series featuring Dr. Greg Bonson. You will find it at AmericanVision.com.